What is up everybody, Jay the Great here, and in today's video, I'll be ranking the top 20 characters in Naruto from weakest to strongest. I decided to do this video due to how contentious the comparisons between certain shinobi are amongst the Naruto fandom, and due to the common misconceptions as well people in the fandom have of certain shinobi, mostly because of the bias towards or against these shinobi. Now, to establish the parameters of this video, I will only be ranking characters up to chapter 700 of the Naruto manga, meaning no Boruto verse scaling will be taking place here, but of course let me know in the comments if you guys would like a ranking video where I do just that. Additionally, to make the ranking as accurate as possible, I will not be scaling iterations of characters we have no real empirical evidence for. For example, I would only scale Old Man Hiruzen rather than Prime Hiruzen, as empirically the latter iteration essentially has no feats. Now, as far as the power scaling is concerned, I'm going to be using primarily the manga and databooks, as well as the anime at times if it coincides with the narrative, meaning there will be no use of novels, video games, or fan books in this video. And as always, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, as that greatly helps the growth of the channel. But with all that out of the way, let's get straight into it. So I would like to start out by noting that aside from the numeric ranking positions for each character, I'll also have tiers for certain section of characters and certain rankings to further illustrate the caliber and difference in caliber between certain characters as well. With the first tier being Sanin Plus, with spot number 20 going to the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, specifically the iteration of this character we see in his later years from chapters 1 to 138, where he eventually loses his life defending the village from Orochimaru, and chapters 618 to 691, where we see a reanimated Hiruzen during the 4th Great Shinobi War aid the Shinobi Alliance. This iteration can be scaled more accurately as opposed to Prime Hiruzen, who has no concrete empirical feats, which is why I chose to scale this version of Hiruzen instead. Hiruzen Sarutobi was heralded as a professor, being stated to have knowledge of all jutsu within Konoha, with him being able to go toe-to-toe with Prime Orochimaru, who was able to successfully assassinate the 4th Kazekage, fight Jiraiya while armless, and even fight off Four-Tails Naruto near his own death, allowing us to deduce that Hiruzen Sarutobi is at a blatant Sanin Plus level, even as an old man. His high caliber is then further illustrated when, as in Edo, he was able to single-handedly have more success even as an old man against Zetsu enhanced Yamato in comparison to a small platoon of shinobi which included several Kage and several nine-tail Am shinobi. However, to be fair, the Kage here were out of chakra and fatigued, while Hiruzen was in Edo, meaning he had infinite chakra and had no fatigue issues. So I'm not saying he is above this platoon, but rather wanted to further illustrate the amount of power he can generate near full power, and also how high caliber of a shinobi he truly is. In short, Hiruzen was one of the strongest shinobi on earth during his respective era, knowing all 5 basic chakra natures and having a vast knowledge in jutsu, which garnered him great respect throughout the 5 nations in the shinobi world during his time. Next up at number 19, we have Tobirama Senju. Now, before I get into why he is placed at this spot, I'm first going to discuss an aspect of Tobirama that I feel must be discussed with the recent misconceptions I've been seeing floating around the community, with that aspect being his speed. So the single event in question that has caused his speed to become deeply misunderstood and inaccurately scaled is when Jubito attacks Hashirama and Tobirama simultaneously. Now, as we all know, shortly after this attack is executed, we then see multiple paper bombs scattered upon Jubito's body, as well as a flying thunder god marking placed upon his left armpit, with this observation and event being the reason and catalyst for the claim that Tobirama manually placed these paper bombs, as well as a flying thunder god marking, indicating he is relative or even perhaps superior to Jubito in speed. Hence, I'm going to debunk why that claim is highly unlikely and why Tobirama being not physically fast is just not the case. Firstly, there are other empirical pieces of evidence that contradict this theory, such as Tobirama in the anime watching his brother Hashirama and Madara battling in awe helplessly, indicating his inferiority to them, as well as Hashirama stating his own inferiority to Jubito directly, meaning transitively Tobirama being inferior as well. Now, if I couldn't make it any more obvious with that, Madara Uchiha also states blatantly that only Hashirama was ever able to stop him during their era as well, i.e. Tobirama was not. Now, I know Tobirama fans are asking themselves and me, well, how did the paper bombs and flying thunder god marking get there then? Well, simply put, after the paper bombs and flying thunder god marking are placed, Tobirama explains that he had this ancillary jutsu already pre-established along with his reanimation jutsu even before he was reanimated, with him stating that this was the first time he used this jutsu upon himself, indicating these paper bombs were already available and simply just scattered amongst Jubito's body after blitzing Hashirama and Tobirama successfully. Now, as far as the flying thunder god marking, when considering its location on Jubito's body, the most rational conclusion is that Tobirama simply perceived Jubito, giving him enough time to summon the marking, which doesn't require a physical reaction, but instead only perception, as only that is required for your neurotransmitters to fire and have thoughts, commands, etc., as Tobirama's right hand would have been approximately around Jubito's left armpit already as Jubito blitzed into him. Hence no, Tobirama is not Jubito's speed physically, and in fact is most likely not even close. But with that out of the way, let's get back to explaining the rankings. Being one of the most prominent Uchiha slayers of all time in Naruto history, and also heralded as the fastest of his time thanks to the Flying Raijin, Tobirama Senju was truly one of the top shinobi in the world. He is known as the man to kill Ozino Uchiha via Flying Raijin, as well as a pioneer in several high-profile high-level jutsu, being the founder of multiple of them, including the Shadow Clone Jutsu and the Reanimation Jutsu. We see more tangible feats empirically of Tobirama during the War Arc, when he is reanimated by Orochimaru, where he is shown being able to perceive an unstable Jubito, which allowed him to place a Flying Raijin seal on him when Jubito physically blitzed him. Additionally, he is shown working side by side with Naruto and Minato to combat Jubito, with them having some success against him via Flying Raijin, Senjutsu, and intelligent battle strategizing, even coming to the deduction that combining his and Minato's Flying Raijins increases its speed as well, which would, as a byproduct, increase the likelihood of successfully hitting Jubito with an attack. Now, for those wondering why he is above Hiruzen despite the databook stating Hiruzen surpassed his predecessor, firstly, I ranked Old Man Hiruzen and not Prime Hiruzen, and secondly, when comparing the available empirical feats for each, Tobirama has a more impressive showings, indicating that the higher possibility claim is that Tobirama is superior to Old Man Hiruzen, as opposed to the antithesis. At number 18, we have the 4th Raikage, A. And of course, I will first establish why A is above Tobirama, specifically as I know many Tobirama fans are probably seething right now. Unfortunately, the best method to deduce and conclude who is superior is to go based off the empirical evidence available for Tobirama and the 4th Raikage. When the 4 reanimated Hokage go to the battlefield to aid the Shinobi Alliance, Minato gets there significantly faster, even being able to have a conversation with Naruto before the Hokage even arrive, which results in Tobirama even admitting that Minato has a better body flicker than him. Additionally, to now debunk the common refutation, which is that this is travel speed and not combat speed. Firstly, this ability can be used in either, as Shishui was known as the teleporter because of his ridiculous speed with his own body flicker in battle. And secondly, in fiction battle-based verses, usually when an individual has greater travel speed, they usually have greater combat speed as well, such as Flash with the DC Universe. Hence the common analogy I always hear, which is a boxer's punch versus an Olympic runner's sprint speed, is a false equivalency, as that is not how speed is illustrated generally in fictional battle-based verses such as Naruto. Now, as far as the 4th Raikage, he is deemed as one of the fastest shinobi on Earth, and is even stated to be equal to the 4th Hokage in speed in the databooks, and implied to be somewhat arbitrarily relative to the 4th Hokage in the manga as well. Aside from this, the Raikage has success against better opponents as in comparison to Tobirama empirically, such as 5 Kage Summit Sasuke and Casing 1 Naruto, as opposed to Tobirama, who possibly lost to Kindingen on more than one occasion, even with the 2nd Raikage aiding him in one of those instances, with Kindingen, truth be told, not performing very well and actually quite poorly as Edo's in the war. However, truth be told, the scaling between Tobirama and the Raikage is quite close, as the Raikage was quite outperformed speed-wise by Minato as well in their altercation during the 3rd Great Shinobi War, so if you want to place Tobirama above him, I wouldn't blame you, which is also why I have these two in the same tier, as I do think it is considerably contentious. A's most impressive empirical feats include showing relativity in speed to 5 Kage Summit Sasuke in only his V1 form, and showing relativity to even early War Arc Casing 1 Naruto at his fastest, being in his V2 version during this feat, with the databooks even implying that he is relativistic to the speed of light, meaning from here on out we could assume that everyone above this position is also a bare minimum relativistic to the speed of light. Additionally, apart from his speed is his very high levels of durability, which is even further enhanced by his lightning cloak, being able to even essentially tank Chidori from 5 Kage Summit Sasuke, only leaving a slight wound, with him also possessing significantly high levels of AP as well, being enough to shatter and go through 5 Kage Summit Sasuke's Susanoo ribcage, even while being encapsulated with Amaterasu. Hence, it is very clear that during his time, there weren't many shinobi on the planet that could even contend with A, with him clearly being one of the most powerful shinobi of his time, and I would go as far as to say one of the fastest shinobi of all time as well. We now get into the high Kage tier at number 17, with this spot going to the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Heralded as the fastest shinobi of his lifetime, Minato would instill fear in entire nations, such as a stone village, with them going as far as to even enact a run-on-site order upon his own military forces due to his blatant superiority to even entire platoons of shinobi. To quickly substantiate his placing above the others below him, he is blatantly shown casually outspeeding the 4th Raikage at his full speed, which allows for the easy conclusion that he is above him, and transitively everyone below him as well. Now, for those that say Killer Bee is faster, or at least relative to him, as he intercepted Minato's attack attempt upon the Raikage, firstly, Minato was not bloodlusted, and secondly, never once did he use the Flying Raijin during that time, which he could have done at any point, having multiple Flying Thunder God markings throughout the battlefield. So no, Killer Bee is not above him either, and not even above the 4th Raikage in speed, if we're being honest. Other notable feats that Minato had throughout his career include being the only one pre-war arc to deduce the workings of Kamui and defeat Obito, and also reacting to Jubito's Tsushigi norms before they even reach 8th Gate Guy. But to be fair, this was only a perception feat rather than a physical one, but either way still impressive nonetheless. Even while in a daze and having a mental nerf according to the databooks due to the guilt he felt for failing Obito, he still displayed speeds relative or even above Tobirama and casing to Naruto at times. Hence, excluding 6 past tier characters and above, Minato is in the upper echelon of power in the Naruto verse as far as speed and blatant ability as a shinobi. Now, around this part of the ranking is where I started to realize it would become especially inevitably contentious, as opinions vary widely for the following few shinobi that have been discussed and will be discussed shortly, as they are highly respected and have good arguments for them being over the others. Either way though, here's my ranking, with number 16 going to Nagato Uzumaki, specifically in his prime. Now, for those wondering why am I not scaling Pain specifically, he has never really shown engaging in combat at his best empirically, with his only feats being the weaker passive Pain versus Jiraiya and the fatigue Pain against Naruto. However, for those who care, I am under the impression that Pain at full power is at least relative to Nagato, with there being pros and cons for both iterations. For example, Nagato being susceptible to a Genjutsu defeat as opposed to the passive Pain, as they would simply deactivate with Genjutsu, not necessarily affecting Nagato directly. Either way, being objective, it would be tough to prove Pain's true scaling with the numerous confounding variables that would be involved, which would lead to high amounts of speculation, which is why again, I'm choosing to scale Nagato instead. The closest we see Nagato to his prime is him as an Edo during the 4th Great Shinobi War, where he is shown dominating and outspeeding Keisenwan, Naruto, and Killer Bee quite handedly, where he would have most likely even overpowered and killed them via soul extraction, if not for Itachi's quick intervention. To be quite honest, even his feats as Pain are quite ridiculous, being able to outspeed and combat 6 Tails Naruto, and even contain up until 8 Tails Naruto highly fatigued with the Chibaku Tensei. So with his high levels of both speed and AP, alongside his many ridiculous hacks abilities such as the Shindo Tensei, Chibaku Tensei, etc., Nagato was able to conquer entire nations with relative ease. Hence, at his best, Nagato has speeds even surpassing the likes of Minato and Keisenwan Naruto, and AP high enough to possibly even kill perfect Jinchurikis, as Itachi deduced that him, Naruto, and Bee needed to combine all of their highest AP long distance ninjutsu to destroy the nucleus of Nagato's Chibaku Tensei in their altercation. Hence, during his time, Nagato Uzumaki was blatantly at least a top 5 shinobi on the face of the planet. Next up at number 15, we have Kabuto Yakushi. Firstly, I must note that Kabuto is a highly underrated character and typically doesn't get the credit that he deserves, nor is scaled as highly as he should be. Kabuto, after Orochimaru's death, would take what he learned from Orochimaru and add on top of that by making himself a perfect snake sage, which is a feat, by the way, that not even Orochimaru was able to accomplish, and even added abilities on top of that, such as Soigetsu's self-liquefaction ability and Karin's healing ability. He was capable of single-handedly beginning a world war with his new and improved reanimation jutsu, where the Edo Tensei under his control were nearly at full power, and with his abilities was such a threat that even Obito with a Renegon was forced to compromise with him to an extent. Additionally, as a combatant, he was able to go toe-to-toe with Edo Itachi and EMS Sasuke while holding back against Sasuke, but to be fair, Itachi and Sasuke were also holding back to ensure the undoing of the reanimation jutsu. During this altercation, Kabuto was able to successfully strike Itachi on multiple occasions, and also use multiple genjutsu against both Sasuke and Itachi simultaneously. Hence, it is very clear that Kabuto during that point in the war arc was truly one of the most powerful shinobi, even above the likes of several legendary shinobi, such as the 3rd Raikage, the 4th Kazekage, etc., having them under his literal control. At number 14, we have Itachi Uchiha, specifically at his prime, and again, similar to Nagato, while alive, we never truly see Itachi use his full potential, as he was undercover during his time with the Akatsuki, and on top of that, being also ill, meaning he wasn't even capable of reaching his full potential anyway. Hence, like Nagato, we see Itachi close to his prime as an Edo, and we see him more than likely use his full potential when combating Naruto and Killer Bee, and then Nagato shortly after he breaks out of the reanimation jutsu bind with Kodo Matsukami. Now during this time, we see Itachi react and combat against Naruto and Killer Bee while only using a base Sharingan literally simultaneously, indicating speeds beyond even KCM1, and then later blitz Nagato with the Susanoo, who was also able to display speeds beyond KCM1, indicating Itachi is not only more than likely above KCM1 speed, but also above the speed Nagato is capable of as well. To even further reinforce Itachi's spot on this list, while holding back, we see Edo Itachi outperform Sage Kabuto at least enough to get him caught in the Izanami, even while having to protect Sasuke from being captured by Kabuto, while also being at a geological disadvantage being in a cave, with Kabuto being able to manipulate the cave with abilities such as inorganic animation. Aside from the high levels of speed Itachi can operate at, his deadly arsenal also just further adds to his talents, possessing the Tsukuyomi, Susanoo, Tosuka Blade, and Yadamir. Meaning, with him possessing a combination of blinding speed and one-shot ending hacks abilities, Itachi, when compared to the vast majority of the Naruto verse, is truly invincible. We now get into the Shinobi's Legend tier, with this tier simply meaning you have to be a shinobi that has no 6-pass chakra and or doesn't display feats on this level. With spot number 13 going to the first Hokage himself, Hashirama Senju. Being given the title the God of Shinobi, Hashirama during his time would slay entire tailed beasts and give them away like mere pets with how much power he possessed, and aside from his power, would also wield regeneration that was so efficient that it wouldn't even require hand signs, allowing him to fight for well over several hours at a time. Up until the tail end of the war arc, Hashirama was the only man ever to best Madara Uchiha in battle, even with the Nine Tails 80 Madara, a battle in which such power was used that the entire landscape was changed according to Madara. Hashirama would possess Sage Mode, where he could use wooden entities that even again tailed beasts would pale in comparison to, and would wield these sort of bijou pacifying abilities as well that were even capable of temporarily containing the Ten Tails during the 4th Great Shinobi War. Hence, truth be told, Hashirama was the single strongest non-6-pass Hokage to ever live, and to be quite frank, no one ever came close to him for the vast majority of Naruto history. We now get into the lower 6-pass tier, with the number 12 spot going to Obito, or more specifically, Jubito. Even while experiencing deep emotional and mental turmoil and even physical resistance from the Ten Tails itself early on, resulting in a volatile power level, Jubito was still capable of simultaneously blitzing Hashirama and Tobirama with relative ease, reinforcing Hashirama's claim, which is that even he is inferior to Jubito. He was also capable of fighting multiple Hokage level shinobi alongside Naruto and Sasuke, and truth be told, only lost quote-unquote due to him being Takano Juju'd by Naruto. So at the point in Naruto history in which he was introduced, it is very clear that Jubito was the single most powerful entity we have ever seen, wielding abilities such as molding truth-seeking orbs which nullify almost everything in their path into several shapes and uses, such as a sword of Nunuboko, and shooting ten-tail bombs on command, capable of leveling land masses of considerable proportions. Hence, it is quite clear the gap between him and everyone else below him on this list is quite large, and so large in fact that again Kishimoto had to figure out a way for the protagonist to defeat him without really defeating him in an actual physical combat situation. So I'm quite certain this spot belongs to the right person, to most of you folks watching as well. At number 11, we have one of the only individuals with no actual 6-pass chakra in the lower 6-pass tier, with that being my guy. While in the 8 gates with the help of Lee and Minato, he was able to nearly kill Jubidara, which Jubidara even admitted himself, and was so impressed by him that he labeled him as the single greatest taijutsu user he has ever faced, even above the likes of Hashirama, with no one prior, including several Hokage alongside Naruto and Sasuke, being able to even scratch Jubidara, let alone morbidly wound him. And just to note, Jubidara is also stronger than Jubito, as he has the entire 9 and 8 tails within him, unlike Jubito who only had a fraction. So my guy being able to do this to someone even stronger than Jubito would scale him naturally over Jubito, which is why he's above him. Additionally, with the 8 gates, my guy is able to combat at such high speeds that he literally begins to manipulate and warp a certain radius of space around the attacks he utilizes, such as when he used his Night Guy attack and was able to somewhat trap Jubidara within the space that the attack warped and encapsulated. Hence, despite the 8 gates killing Guy with only a short duration of its usage, Might Guy with this amp would one-shot almost certainly anyone below this spot with relative ease, which is the reason why Might Guy always had this ability as a last resort contingency plan if all else failed. Next up at number 10, we have the only other individual with no 6-pass chakra in the lower 6-pass tier, with that being Sakura Haruno. Now I must first say, despite the hate she receives from the fandom and even from myself at times, power scaling wise, she is criminally underrated, as when you don't like someone, you typically develop a biased judgment of them. However, the truth is, Sakura during the war arc has highly impressive showings of speed, AP, and even durability. She is shown surviving being impelled by Jubito, only to later outspeed an attack from Kaguya Otsutsuki that even Naruto in his 6-pass KCM form states is fast. She is then shown being able to blitz Kaguya, and not only blitz her, but actually damage her as well, which is observably shown in the manga as well, with Kaguya Otsutsuki being several leagues above the likes of Jubito. Now I'm not saying that Sakura is Kaguya Otsutsuki level obviously, or even Jubito level, but that still doesn't negate the much more impressive feats Sakura displays in comparison to everyone else below this spot. Hence, she is more than likely the single strongest non-6-pass character to ever live in the Naruto era, as much as I truly hate saying that, having my own bias against Sakura. We now get into the 6-pass tier, with Indra Otsutsuki coming in at number 9. Being one of 2 of Hagoromo Otsutsuki's sons, and also being born as the more talented of the 2 sons, Indra would possess very powerful ocular powers, which, like Madara Uchiha, allowed him to use perfect Susanoo alongside his genius level intellect, but at a much higher level, being at a blatant 6-pass level, being a direct descendant of the sage of 6-pass himself, again Hagoromo Otsutsuki. He would instill fear throughout the ninja world, with only his brother seemingly being able to challenge him during his time. And as I am sure you guys have already guessed, at number 8 we have Asura Otsutsuki, being the other one of the 2 sons Hagoromo had. Now, unlike Indra, Asura would be born as sort of the runt of the 2, but would attain power that would rival his older, more talented brother thanks to the power of camaraderie and unity, and would then even directly inherit the power of the Ten Tails when he was selected by his father, the Sage of 6-Pass, to carry on his legacy and power. To even further substantiate his placing on this list, he would in fact have a direct physical confrontation with Indra, in which he triumphed utilizing 6-Pass Senjutsu after reaching his full potential, forcing Indra to retreat as a result, where his hate for Asura would only grow from there. Hence, after Hagoromo's death, Asura would be the greatest and most powerful shinobi on Earth, most likely up until his own death. We now get into the upper 6-pass tier, with Hamura Otsutsuki coming in at number 7. Being one of 2 of Kaguya Otsutsuki's children, and the brother of the Sage of 6-Pass himself, Hagoromo Otsutsuki, like Hagoromo, Hamura would inherit the immense power of Kaguya, possessing the Byakugan and high levels of chakra to go along with that. He can even be scaled as relative to his brother, being able to combat against Hagoromo, at least until Hagoromo decides to stop holding back and being on the defensive. Finally, clearly his most notable and famous feat was defeating the Ten Tails and his own mother alongside his brother Hagoromo, where they both successfully sealed her in the end. Now naturally, just like with Indra and Asura, the next man to make the list is the more powerful of Kaguya's sons, the Sage of 6-Pass himself, Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Not only did he defeat his brother Hamura when he was mentally manipulated by his mother Kaguya Otsutsuki, but he would then go on to seal the Ten Tails inside himself, only to become even more powerful, and alongside his brother, seal his mother Kaguya Otsutsuki, meaning Hagoromo was already the naturally stronger of the 2 siblings and would gain even further power by becoming the Ten Tails Jinchuriki after sealing it inside himself. Hence, truth be told, let's just say he was certainly qualified for the role and title of the Sage of 6-Pass and the father of Ninshu for the shinobi world, with the number 5 spot going to Madara Uchiha, specifically in his Ten Tails Jinchuriki form. Now, for those wondering why he is above the Sage of 6-Pass himself, Hagoromo actually blatantly stated that one Rinnegan Jubito was relative to himself, allowing us to deduce that by the time Madara had 3 eyes, he was more than likely even above the likes of the Sage of the 6-Pass. Being one of the greatest villains in all of anime, not only was Madara a prolific character, but also an insanely powerful antagonist. He would basically go unchallenged until the very tail end of the war arc, achieving the feat of becoming Ten Tails Jinchuriki and attaining 2 Rinnegan, as well as even activating the Infinite Tsukuyomi. With these tools, he would essentially have near immortality, high levels of regeneration, durability, limbo clones, and by far the most impressive speeds we've ever seen up until that point in the narrative. Now, I know I am getting into very deep and contentious waters scaling 3-eyed Madara here and not any higher on the list. However, I will substantiate his placing as we go further into the top 5, but if you personally have him higher than this, Please feel free to express your thoughts in the comments, as admittedly, we never got to see what Three-Eyed Madara was capable of in a long drawn out battle due to the unfortunate exit he was given, meaning I am forced to inevitably speculate where Three-Eyed Madara would scale. At number 4, we got Sasuke Uchiha, specifically once he obtained 6 Paths power and chakra. He and Naruto, once attaining these new abilities and levels of power, would go on to physically press and actually challenge one Rinnegan Jubidara, which actually caused Jubidara to become concerned for the first time the entire war arc, with Sasuke even being able to intercept Jubidara when attempting to blitz Kakashi. Additionally, he would later be displayed striking Kaguya while utilizing his perfect Susanoo and also dodging an Ashbone. However, to be fair, heavy gravity did throw off Kaguya's aim in an altercation. And to also note, Sasuke is above Jubidara, as he would state that Kaguya has far greater chakra than Madara, implying she's a far greater and more powerful combatant, again, having his own successes even against her. However, truth be told, his most impressive feats would come against Naruto in the Valley of the End, where he would absorb the chakra of all 9-tailed beasts and then shoot off one of the most powerful jutsu we would ever witness up until that point in time in Naruto history. Aside from this, Sasuke wields abilities such as interdimensional teleportation, the Amino Tejikara, which allows for the swapping of location with both living things and inanimate objects, and multiple derivations of the Amaterasu. In this battle with Naruto, he would be relative enough to stalemate Naruto, blowing off Naruto's arm, along with his own, when they would come to their final jutsu clash to determine the fate of the shinobi world. We now get into the top 3, with number 3 going to the main character himself, Nagato Uzumaki. He, like Sasuke, would display very impressive feats against one Rinnegan Jubidara after obtaining 6 Paths power, casually kicking away one of his true seeking orbs and combating him competitively as well alongside Sasuke. He would later be displayed even having better feats than Sasuke against Kaguya, where he would dodge an Ashbone from Kaguya nearly at point blank range, where unlike in the Sasuke event, Kaguya did not iterate that gravity threw off her aim here, indicating that Naruto dodged a faster attack by Kaguya than Sasuke did, and he would also be displayed hitting Kaguya with his Sage Art Super Bijou Rasen Shuriken, which not only damaged her, but made her body react negatively to it because of the Bijou chakra involved in this attack, indicating that Naruto is more capable of challenging Kaguya than Sasuke. Finally, we see Naruto get the best of Sasuke in the Valley of the End, where even holding back and lacking killer intent, he was able to force Sasuke to concede and change his ways. He would display high levels of AP, speed, durability, and even intelligence in his battle against Sasuke, possessing abilities such as a Bijou Avatar, Senjutsu Enhanced Jutsu, and high levels of regeneration, which resulted in him saving the shinobi world in the process. We now get to the Otsutsuki tier, with spot number 2 going to Kakashi Hatake, specifically in his DMS form. Now, despite the short duration we would see Kakashi in this form, without only being about a chapter's length in the manga to be exact, Kakashi would display the very pinnacle of speed and AP in that short time. To really put into perspective how powerful Kakashi was, Naruto and Sasuke had little to no success against newly awakened Kaguya, while conversely, Kakashi would blatantly speed blitz and significantly damage Kaguya after a literal exponential increase in her power, which is truly immensely impressive. Hence, Kakashi had more success against the same opponent exponentially times stronger than Naruto and Sasuke did, even with help from Obito, Kakashi, and Sakura. With DMS, Kakashi was capable of wielding a perfect Susanoo, even superior to that of Sasuke's, and wield the fastest iteration of Kami would ever see, with the giant shuriken he would utilize, being capable of achieving a level of speed that would challenge even an exponentially times stronger Kaguya and damage her. Hence, it's honestly kind of unfortunate we only saw Kakashi in this form for such a short duration, as he was truly on the Mount Rushmore of the Naruto verse. And finally, at number 1, being the most powerful entity in the Naruto verse, as I'm sure no one is surprised, we have Kaguya Otsutsuki. Being described as a much greater threat than Jubidara, Kaguya, for the majority of her altercation with Team 7, would dominate, while actually holding back for a good portion of it, which many people aren't even aware of, by the way. Truth be told, it took one heck of a Deus Ex Machina for her defeat to come to fruition, i.e. DMS Kakashi, if we are being honest, alongside her very convenient, almost primal, subpar mind when it comes to her intelligence, with her intelligence paling in comparison to most of the other antagonists in the past, such as Madara and Pain. Aside from this, we learn she is capable of both creating and destroying entire time-space continuums or universes that are most likely around the size of the main universe solar system, when observing several celestial bodies and the time-space she was going to engulf with her expanding true-seeking orb. Being the mother of chakra itself within a shinobi world, Kaguya possesses a plethora of immensely powerful abilities, such as her expansive truth-seeking arm, the Byakugan, the Rene Sharingan, and immortality. Hence, she is by far and away the most powerful entity we ever see pre-Boruto, being the only one even remotely close to a solar system level of power or solar system buster, and is so powerful in fact that again, Kishimoto had to devise a way to make her defeat make some logical sense to the reader. And there you guys have it. That is my ranking of the top 20 characters in the Narutoverse, ranked from weakest to strongest. And of course, despite my calculated approach when creating these rankings, I'm still very aware of the disagreements some of you may have. So please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and I hope you folks enjoyed the video. Stay classy.